Welcome everyone back to another episode of Jurassic World Evolution 2. Today's episode, we're going to be continuing on this area over here. As you can see, I made some changes off camera. I moved the Ceratosauruses to this little pen over here because I didn't like how the pen over there is turning out. So as you will see, I'm going to be getting rid of this little pen, and the tour, not really the biggest fan, so that will be the first to do on our list. But we will be adding 3 new pens today, which is very exciting. And another exciting thing is we have our first name suggestion. It was suggested by a grand monkey. So yes, the mosasaur is now going to be named Paul. What a legendary name for such a legendary creature. Now we're going to head over to that area I was talking about. I started removing some stuff, as I said, but as you will see, I'm going to be removing a little bit more. I'm not really a fan of the shape of this enclosure, so we're going to get rid of that. And the Jurassic tour, I'm not the biggest fan of. So it was a cooler idea at first, but hey, times are changing. Things change, times change. You know what I mean. But yeah, we're bringing the monorail over here because I think it'll just be cooler to have a whole other section of the park and that connects to it. And as you can see, I'm just laying out a path so it doesn't keep on notifying me that those buildings aren't connected. Yeah, I'm all aware. So yeah, just flattening this area. I also added that path layout off camera. So I think I'm going to start doing that because just it helps me get an idea of where I want enclosures to be. And I found myself in the last video just kind of lost of where I was going to build, because unlike Minecraft, this game's much faster paced with the building, and just to know what I'm going to build before I start recording is really nice. But yeah, this layout is going to have 3 enclosures, which all have exciting dinos. But first and foremost, we need to have a viewing platform because we do want to see the dinos, right? But yeah, now we get the enclosure, and we're going to use the standard 5 security grade fences that I've been using for every other enclosure. And yeah, this area is basically 3 enclosures all connected, but they're still divided up because some dinosaurs are not mixed well together. So as you can see, I'm adding some more viewing galleries, and we're going to have like a little, I don't know what to call it. Like, it's kind of like a plaza, but it's not. It's just a little area you can walk around, you know? Now we're going to be adding another enclosure right here. And yeah, it's just going to be another epic dino. Yeah, as you can see, I decorate this little area right here. So when guests walk by, it's not just a boring gray wall. So just throwing some shrubs, some trees, some rocks. Lots of rocks. It helps bring out the color and just hides that hideous gray wall, you know? Yeah. Now that that's out of the way, I'm connecting the viewing galleries and trying to find something to put in the center here. I eventually just settle with using a lake in the center of that, and I come up with the idea, why not right there? It's another viewing gallery to the enclosure that goes down that hill, which I think is really cool. Which I think that's the coolest enclosure out of the 3, which you guys will get to see. But as you can see, I put the lake right there, and then I decided to have kind of like a river connecting 3 enclosures. And just, I don't know, I think it's repetitive for every enclosure to be like, all right, here's a little pond, and here's the forest, and yada yada yada. And I decided to have a river that flows through the enclosures, and I think that looks really cool. So then, as you saw there, I added one of those viewing galleries that are like in the center of the enclosure, and I think they're really cool. I was gonna use the tree, but I will probably be using the tree one in other enclosures, and I don't want to get repetitive, so switch it up a little bit. Anyways, as you can see, I'm finishing up this 3rd enclosure, and we are going to be adding the dinos to their enclosures. So, as we cut the footage, we first have the Stegosauruses. I know you can probably see the other dinos, but hey, we're going to focus on these beautiful guys. And yeah, enclosure isn't too big, but oh well. So these guys are from Jurassic Park The Lost World. It's the second one. Honestly, probably one of my favorites. I really like Ian Malcolm as a character, so yeah. So then our next dino is the Carnotaurus. This guy was introduced in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and these guys are probably one of my favorites. I just love how they look, and they just seem really, really cool. So now we move on to this next pen with two dinos, and guess what?
There's a Diplodocus!
Yeah, so we got the Diplodocus, and I can't think of a better name for our first Diplodocus than, well, I'm pretty sure you guessed that. Anyways, it is sharing this enclosure with the one and only Brachiosaurus. Probably one of the most coolest dinos ever
totally wrong.
first introduced in the first Jurassic Park. And yeah, this thing is just beautiful. And if they ever bring back dinos, that'd be the one I'd want to see. But yeah. So now we actually kind of gotta make the enclosure suitable for them, not just plains and some random forest. So yeah, as you can see, I kind of play around with the forest leaf and fiber paintbrushes, and just I figure out what they want and what looks best. You know? And I tried a bunch of different things, and I think with how I settled, looked good. And then I throw some rocks around. And I came up with the idea to block off the water with rocks. I don't know, I've just seen zoos do it before, so I figured, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So I did it. And just adding some more of these rocks all over the place. I think the rocks give some character to the enclosures, you know? And then I take way too long to find this dead log, because, I don't know, thought it would look cool. So now we do the Carno pen, and I came up with the idea to raise some of the terrain just to not make it all flat, you know? Add some unique characteristic to it. And then I take some sand, I put it around the water. I decided to make the river bit right here just more natural and make it a lot more sense. And I add a little forest area there because the Carnos like the forest, and then a little plain area so you could actually kind of see them. It's really interesting. In the first Jurassic Park book, they're actually invisible, which is very interesting. But hey, sounds cool. So as you can see here, I'm just doing the same thing I did in the others, adding some rocks right there, and you guessed it, I'm adding more rocks around and adding the feeders for the dinos so they don't actually starve. For this to be the ultimate Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs gotta be happy and not hungry all the time. And now I am aware the Diplodocus and Brontosaurus do not really like each other in this enclosure, which I didn't think of that when making them. And while I was recording, I kind of just went with it, but I will probably separate the two and put something else in there. Really sorry about that. But for now, the Diplodocus and Brontosaurus are just gonna have to deal with it because I needed to get a video done and I wasn't gonna slow down just because of that. So yeah, as you can see, I'm just adding rocks, decorating terrain, add a little rock terrain paint or whatever you want to call it, the brush tool. I don't know, there's a million ways you could call it, but I use some of that. And yeah, as you can see, I'm just checking out the dinos, and I think those enclosures look cool. And yeah, as you can see, I'm just kind of looking at that space there, not really knowing what to do. But now we gotta make a new enclosure for the Stratosaurus. And I try to find a good shape. We're kind of near the edge of the border right here. But hey, we're not going to let that stop us from making the perfect Stratosaurus enclosure, So I try to flatten it out, but because we're near the border, it's kind of being annoying. So I do have to move some of the fencing around. So as you can see, it kind of dips down right there in a weird way. I tried maybe raising it, but that made it honestly worse. So I just resort to moving the fence and flattening the area out. And kind of just smoothing it, making it look as best as it can be. So now we add some water so they can drink. I tried using this different forest brush, and I wish I found out about it sooner. And yeah, just adding more and more rocks. Thought it'd be cool to add rocks in the water right here, but I do get rid of those eventually as it looks kind of odd. And we need food for them, which is also really kind of important. So we add the feeders there. Now, as you can see through the time lapse, I am just shrinking all the Ceratosaurus and going to be moving them to their enclosure. So yeah, that's the Ceratosaurus bed, and just a quick flyover. And as you can see, I am kind of bringing the path over here, another way to get over to that area, making the paths look kind of interesting, you know? And in this area, I'm going to have another little food court type area. And this will be interesting because the last time I recorded it, the footage got lost. So now you guys can actually see it. So first we add some restrooms, which are kind of important for the guests. I've been saying kind of important a lot, you know? There's always like a phrase or word that like I just say way too much. For example, like now just thinking about it, I'll probably realize like 15 different words that I've been saying way too many times, but we're just gonna go with it. So yeah, this little plaza here, it's similar as the other ones, just using the this concrete looking floor path. I couldn't tell you the actual names of them with like the brick ones on it. And originally I go with the fountain there, and I kind of struggle what else to do. So we kind of just are messing with the different decor, thinking what to center it. Originally, I was thinking maybe putting like a pen, like a fake pen, but no, we're just gonna use this food truck design as I've used before, and use these little banners like menus, which I really love this little cute design. So now I'm just going around trying to add some way to put some greenery in the area, but we didn't put too much. So now, if you got food, you gotta sit and eat it. So we gotta add some benches, add some garbage cans so the guests can throw away the garbage. And you know, at my job where I work at, I have to clean up after people, and just it's got me aware that people are just really gross and nasty, and whenever I go eat anywhere, I make sure I clean myself up. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. We got a lot done, and I love how these enclosures turned out. The Ceratosaurus enclosure looks so much better than the original. I just wish that back wall was more straight, but hey, we work with what we got, you know? And as the game glitches and shows him eating from thin air, classic Jurassic World evolution. But yeah, that enclosure is done, and we got the Stegosauruses. And just, I think this enclosure turned out really well too, using the different brushes that I really haven't used before, the shrubbery ones. And yeah, I think that looked cool. And the Carnos, probably one of my favorite dinosaurs of all time. Just, they're cool looking. And like, yeah, top 3 dino right there. And then in the number 2 spot is not the Diplodocus, but right next to it you can see is the Brachiosaurus. And just, these guys are beautiful, and every time I see the scene in the movie, I always get goosebumps whenever I see them, because they're just that cool. My favorite dinosaur, though, you guys will have to continue watching the series to find out, or we may never know. So yeah, that's it for episode 3 of Building the Ultimate Jurassic World. Isn't that crazy? 3 episodes in. And you know, I've been enjoying the series, and yeah, and I hope you guys are too. So stay tuned for the next episode and enjoy. Peace.